Welcome back to Sunday Live. We move from cancer to looking at economic matters, money matters, if you will. And in studio with us is the chair, newly appointed chair of the NSSF Board of Trustees. I think it's been a week.
Yeah.
Kariithi Murimi is with us. Welcome to Sunday Live.
Thank you.
It's great for the country to have an opportunity to see the new face who in charge of this board. Yeah. And maybe let's start with what can we expect from your leadership at NSSF?
What we are going to do is we are going to focus on three major areas. The first one is to get the employers to respect the principle of remitting contributions, because that's a big issue. We still have people who don't understand that once you deduct an employee's pay, you must remit what you're supposed to remit.
And your mandate
so
is across formal and informal.
That will be a big issue, yes. Right. The second one is, of course, the returns to what you call the members themselves. So we are going to indirectly shift the focus to the member, so that whatever is done for the benefit of the member. Right. And we are going to be very clear that politics will not drive the decisions for investment, so that whatever investments are done, they are done for the benefit of the members' returns. So it's about the gain at the end of the day, the benefits to the members. Yes. The third one will be the whole area of getting the morale, the capacity of the staff, both to service the customer who is the member, but also to have a key role in bringing in new ideas in the way to do things in a better way. So involving them more and getting a fairly participative approach in the whole area. And then the fourth one is the team part of the whole board, so that the board works as a team rather than working as a split type of an institution. Remember, NSSF is what we call a tripartite organization. We have FKE representing employers, we have the court representing workers, and then we have the government indirectly representing the bigger interest of society. And so the need to have them working as a team together. And without having voices which seem to be different. And of course, under that, we need to work on the image, so that the reliability of the institution to the people of Kenya is fundamental. The trust. Yes, so that when I tell you to contribute, then you know you are contributing to a reliable organization. So we have a lot of questions coming in, which we're going to forward all of them, because I'm sure we cannot go through all of them tonight. Yes. I want to shift the discussion slightly, because your background, you are an economist, and your background is also as an expert in governance strategy. Yes. We've just come out of a very painful strike for this country. Teachers were off work for 5 weeks. Schools ground to a halt. Literally, term schedules were changed, and the whole nation had to adjust in response to this crisis. The underlying problem, however, is that our salaries, our wages, our allowances are a big burden on this economy. My question to you, can we dig ourselves out of the hole that we currently seem to be in when it comes to the amount of money going into paying wages? The answer is yes, but for that to be yes, we need to listen to ourselves more. We need a way of starting to respect what I would call the figures that, for example, our president gave us the other day. Because the fundamentals of the debate is basically, I pay you from my tax. So the Wajiko is basically central in all this. That which I pay you, what is that you give back? What is your productivity? So whether it's quality of teaching, quality of health, quality of agriculture advice, all those questions are sitting on the bigger wage bill debate. Because you're picking one number called what you have paid, and you're dividing with what you call the GDP, which is the output out of productivity. If the output is not increasing, then this number will keep on making noise, because you are dividing it with a smaller number. And therefore performance is key. Is key. We need to keep the economy grinding and moving to be able to pay more tax, to be able to pay these wages. Indirectly, you have three questions to answer. Yes. The first is that Kenyans, in their wisdom, created a constitutional way of talking salaries, which is what we call the Salaries Administration Commission. Inside that, we created a character called reward and performance will be the basis of determining pay. Right. So as a society, we need to move to agreeing what is productivity, and we need to move to agreeing what is performance. in every job that we call a job. Because that's what we call developed economies have used to go where they have gone. So that I don't pay you because you are my bigger part, I pay you because you are giving me a bigger thing. The second thing is the country needs to respect what you call the framework of discussion. So that if you hear figures from your president, then you don't have a culture of arguing with your own figures.
The figures become political.
So you need to move to what we call value-based debates, which is what the principle of Article 10 is all about. So we as a people need to agree to change so that we move to value-based talking and discussions. Now, if you come the word teacher, the whole strike was based on, in quote, mistrust. There were feelings that this name you are calling harmonized did not happen. And you had the type of figures which were being debated out there. But the spirit of the figure that, for example, the president gave, that the minimum pay to a teacher is 23,000, and this 23,000 is the same for every person called that job everywhere else in the civil service. So what we need to help is to get the teacher to respect. We are not harmonizing you because you are a teacher. We are harmonizing you so that should you want to move to a journalist, you move in the same weight of the job. So that is an equality process that we are talking about.
The bottom line, though, bottom line, you know, leaders should set the standards. And we've seen what our members of parliament have done. We've seen what our, you know, the kinds of wages they're paying. We're seeing it happen across the county structures. And so there's a sense of, if they can behave that way, yes, they can pay themselves more, they can earn all this money, why should we hold ourselves back? How do we deal with that value system issue that kind of sits under all this?
We are going to. Fortunately, I was involved in just the other day retraining what we call the chairs of all the parliamentary committees, including Senate. And one of the discussions we openly discussed is what we call the role of the constitutional commissions that the Constitution gave us. Because inside our Constitution, which Wajiko must always remember, is that these constitutional offices were meant to make everybody follow the Constitution. So the spirit of Parliament or any other person feeling bigger than the Wajiko created institution should start stopping. So that when SRC discusses any figure, it's not that you come fighting it. You start agreeing to listen and reason. So that reasoning with the figures becomes the way we talk and agree with ourselves. Now, of course, you remember that on the date called 2010, when we gave ourselves the Constitution, we did not come with the new adults. The adults are the same.
We were the same people.
So it is the yesterday person you are trying to assist to be different. And when you come to age, there is an economic debate out there which is very, very fundamental, that people will always defend what they think is their pay. It therefore requires leadership to convert the mind to come to performance, which is a separate discussion. Now that discussion of performance is what the Singapore leadership came very hard on, to help everybody agree, even if you are a member of parliament, you will listen when we come to performance.
Thank you for that. So it's the mind shift change. We talk about that a lot, but it needs to happen. We were the same people. We must think differently. I'll give you a chance to give a final word to Kenyans now as we close the interview. We need to achieve this shift. What advice would you give an individual sitting at home who has been socialized into a certain way of thinking? How does he start to change that thinking?
I think what I would want Kenyans to agree is that we gave ourselves a dream. That dream was to move to a Vision 2030, a country that indirectly has a lot of good things. Those many good things, we then agreed we'll put them in our Chapter 4 on human rights. So things like high standards of health, high standards of housing, those names that are sitting in our Constitution are personal aspirations to ourselves. To go there, we must manage what you call the wage debate, to remove the cost that we are paying with less productivity. We must agree to tackle from ourselves the debate of not wanting to finish for our children what indirectly belongs to them. Because indirectly we said it in our Article 201 when we said the benefits and borrowings of all resources will consider the current and the future generations.
Right.
We permanently seem to shift our thinking to today.
Today, now, and me.
We need
Right.
to be the Japanese, the Chinese of 1,000 years and 10,000 years dreamers. So that what we agreed in our Vision 2030, which is to become a middle income, that middle income has a characteristic. One of those characteristics is that they don't spend beyond 5% of their GDP on wages. The country currently is on 10%. So we have a 50% shift of brain to deal with. And we need to agree that when you are in a new forest, it is changing the monkey which becomes the differentiator.
That is where we end the interview.
So that you don't finish the fruit.
How powerful. When you are in a new forest, it is changing the monkey
so that
becomes the differentiator.
So that you don't eat the old fruits in that forest.
Thank you so much for joining us. You've heard words of wisdom there from Kariithi Murimi, who is the newly appointed chair of the NSSF Board of Trustees. You'll no doubt be hearing more from him over the weeks and months to come. Asante sana for joining us in studio.